welcome to Think Different Podcast. Today, we're joined by an incredible group of individuals from the Autism Resources Miramichi. Please welcome Charlene Summers, the Executive Director, and her talented team of summer students. They're here to share their valuable insights, experiences, and enterprise in supporting individuals with autism and their families. We're excited to learn more about the amazing work they do and the impact they have in their community. Let's dive right in and explore the wonderful world of Autism Resources Miramichi.
Hi, my name is Charlene Summers. I'm the Executive Director of Autism Resources Miramichi here, located underneath the Calico restaurant, and that's on 1 Allen Street.
Welcome.
I'll go next.
Yeah.
My name's Braden Esty. I'm just one of the summer camp co-coordinators here, just working for the summer. Just really looking forward to having a good summer with the kids. I have a nephew who is on the spectrum, and I also have several friends who are young adults who are on the spectrum, so I'm looking forward to helping the young ones here.
Nice.
My name is Patricia McNeil. I'm also one of the summer camp leaders. And I was actually really interested in the job as my mom used to do respite care when I was younger, so I was always around people who had learning disabilities, people with autism, so.
Okay, nice.
My name's Emily Nash. I'm a summer student for the camp, and I'm really excited to be working with the kids this summer as I have a child on the spectrum, and just really excited to get to know everyone.
Nice.
I'm Cameron Potts. I'm also a coordinator with Braden. I have 2 years of doing camp previous years, so looking forward to doing this year as well and working with the kids and having a fun year and whatnot.
We have a great group.
Yeah.
We have an awesome group.
Yeah.
Yeah, get along good.
Yeah.
That's good. And how long have you guys been working with the organization?
Personally, I've been working with the organization as the Executive Director for a little over a year. But my past experience and trainings within autism have been long surpassed that. So I started back in 2007, and that would be in residential homes and then recreational work. And then on top of that, I ended up managing 2 special care homes before coming here.
Impressive.
Yeah.
This is my first summer working here, so not a lot of experience here yet, but I do have 7 years of prior experience working at a camp, so really excited to work here. I really like how everything's been run so far.
Mm-hmm. I worked at the summer camp in 2021 and 2022, and then took a year off from it, and then obviously
Missed us.
Yeah, so I came back for this year, and that's and I also do like work in school systems as well part-time, so I get lots of experience with lots of diversity and stuff like that.
Okay, that's good.
And it's my first time working in a camp setting, but I am an educational assistant, so I do work with the children a lot, so I'm just looking forward to changing it up a bit.
Yeah, it's my first year as well, but I've had a lot of family that used to volunteer here, including my mom, so I'd sometimes when I was younger come with her and help her with that kind of stuff as well.
That's good. What are the core characteristics of autism spectrum disorder?
Well, that's all you're good at.
Sure, yeah, I can definitely. Well, since the spectrum, there's a lot of characteristics to cover. Some of them to really, that you could really see right away would be things like the cognitive issues. So things like tying your shoes, or maybe you're a little bit clumsy, or the spatial awareness is a little bit harder to tell. That's one of the things. Emotional regulation, so being overstimulated, struggling with big emotions, right? So, there's things like struggling with bodily processes that go on in your own body. So maybe you have a hard time knowing when you're hungry, maybe you don't know when you need to use the bathroom, right? And so that can cause stress in your body as well. The need to stim, and so the need of sensory seeking, that's a core characteristic as well. And so if you see someone that's, flapping their arms or holding their hands a certain way, that's the type of sensory seeking that can follow with it. Another big one would be being nonverbal. So having difficulty speaking, or sometimes your words just don't work. I have an older friend who's in their 20s that I went to school with, and when they were overstimulated, sometimes their words just wouldn't work, in which case they would just resort to using either cards or an app on their phone. Mm-hmm. I guess I missed. There's a lot there, so it's hard to cover them all, but there's a lot there.
And that's the reason of it being a spectrum.
Okay. Because a lot of persons may not understand that it's not just autism in itself. A lot of persons are not aware that there is autism spectrum.
Yes, that's right.
What are really the differences, though? What differs either of them?
Autism is the autism spectrum. So we have some people who are very high functioning, and then there's others that are low. You could be sitting with somebody and not even know that they have autism. It's not always visible. Now there's others that you can tell that are needing that extra support, and again, that's the reason of the whole spectrum.
Yeah. Like part of the things that we talk about is we like to talk about like level 1, 2, and 3 support needs. So level 1 support needs is when someone is very like their set of things that they have on the spectrum are very easy to hide, very easy to conceal, and it doesn't really affect their day-to-day life quite as much visibly as someone with like level 3 support needs. Example of like level 3 support needs would be being nonverbal, because that would affect your day-to-day life in a very big way. Whereas level 1 support needs would be like you struggle with social settings. Maybe you're a little bit socially awkward, right? Those social roles that are in society just aren't so clear to them, right? Or they didn't get that handbook at birth. So,
yes. How is autism typically diagnosed, and at what age?
So it used to be 4, but from what we understand now is there's a lot of children that are getting diagnosed younger, thank goodness, especially for those who have the telltale signs. And, the doctors definitely, that's where you would need to go to get a diagnosis. From there, we do have Stan Cassidy that is in Fredericton, and they help out tremendously whenever it comes to diagnosis. But your family doctor would be able to refer you to a specialist, and from that specialist, they'll be able to give a diagnosis. Sometimes it does cost, and other times it don't. It depends on the situation.
Interesting. You mentioned about cost. Is it that you have to have a certain type of budget in order to take care of these children?
Depending on the situation of the family. Social development helps out incredibly. They do support a lot of that, but there's other families who slip in between the cracks that don't get that financial support, and then it would cost thousands, unfortunately.
There is quite a bit of a gray area there, right? It's the system sees it a little bit black and white, where these are the people that need help, these are the people that don't. But if you're in that awkward in between, there's not a lot out there for you, and it can be a bit of a struggle.
That's where a lot of advocacy comes in.
That's true. What are the main evidence-based interventions for supporting individuals with autism?
We do have Viva over here in Miramichi and all over New Brunswick, actually, and they do ABA. So with Applied Behavior Analysts, they do a lot of support and a lot of interventions within that. There's all kinds of interventions. We do have, the occupational therapist, the speech pathologist. We have, there's supports out there definitely for that. There's many. Depends on the needs of the child.
Yeah.
Do you think it has been effective since they have that group available for persons?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. If you feel that your child or your person needs that support, you reach out, and for the most part, you'll see the difference and what it can do for our people.
Okay, that's good. How do approaches to supporting individuals with autism differ across the lifespan?
For here in Miramichi, we do have supports throughout all ages, but I can honestly say that as an adult, there is less supports. Again, Viva, early intervention, that focuses on preschool children, and then the school system is a huge support for those who need that extra support, including our EAs. They are huge they make a big impact in our lives for sure. And then as an adult, it's unfortunately sometimes it's group homes, and not unfortunately, sometimes it's wonderful. But if we had that support to go in home, it would probably be a little bit more easier for our adults. We need to advocate on that big time.
Yes.
Right. What would have stopped that? What would cause that gap for you not to go into the homes?
The support that you have with your family. There's some family who just aren't able to keep up with maybe some demands that need to happen, or it could be the financial strain. Some children need extra supports that aren't covered through like social development, or they aren't able to get that support. So funding is a huge thing within that for sure.
You mentioned about family having to create that gap in between, but do you think that family members are not so educated about the whole the autism spectrum? Do you think it's just the education of it? Parents know for sure. If they know their child more than any specialist would ever know their child. So whenever they go in there, the specialist will listen to them and they'll help them absolutely. But it's the family who really thrive in a situation, and they need that support to be able for our children to thrive.
I really think that's a big part of it, right? Because you really just kind of get thrown into it when you have a kid with autism, right?
Right.
And you either have a wonderful community around you that can give you the information you need, right? Because of course, the second you have that kid, you're going to start looking for resources for them. And if you have an awesome community that can help educate you, then you will definitely have that information, that knowledge, and you'll be able to get that education. But for some people, they aren't so fortunate, and the only thing they really have could be how autism is portrayed in media, or maybe they have their best friend's uncle who had a kid, right? So it's just really important to remember that we're trying to do our best to spread that information out there, but not everyone has that right now, and so our goal is to help increase that information.
That's true. So on my right, your left, we have a mother that has a child with autism spectrum. How do you deal with a child, of that sort on a daily basis? How do you cope? How do you navigate mentally?
Well, it's not easy. But thankfully I have a lot of support. Like, I live with my parents and they help out a lot. So if I ever need a few minutes to myself, I can just go outside, take a breather, like leave him in the house with my parents, or I never have to worry about going to work or anything because they're always there, but not everybody's so lucky to have that support.
Have you ever felt overwhelmed? Have you ever thought that, it's a bit too much for you to handle?
When I was younger, yes, it was definitely overwhelming. And now that he's getting older and I'm getting older, like, he's more chill now, and like he just likes to sit around and do his own thing. So it's definitely a lot easier.
Would that be mostly because you're more educated as you go?
Yes, I think so too. Like, I took a lot of courses at MBCC, and I think now that I understand it better, like, it's a lot easier at home.
Mm-hmm.
And how has his reaction been so far?
Pretty good.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
What role do sensor processing differences play in the experiences of autistic individuals?
It can really just change your view on life in general. For example, like with sensory processing differences, how you view a trip to the mall is extremely different. For people with sensory processing disorder, it plays a really big part in that, right? So normally for us, right, we can, if we're hearing a sound in the background, say you're hearing a ringing or you're hearing the buzzing of the lights,
right,
your brain usually automatically kind of tunes it out so you can focus on the conversation. But if you have that sensory processing disorder, you can't. So you'd be hearing the buzzing, you'd hear the people upstairs, you'd hear maybe water in the pipes, you'd hear the footsteps of every single person around you. And for someone that struggles with that emotional regulation, that's a lot to hear. And it's like you're frustrated trying to listen to the person, but you can't focus, and it all just kind of gets like a storm in your head.
Yeah, it's very overwhelming.
Very,
Yeah.
very difficult. That'd be overwhelming for anyone. So
And that's just one part of the sensory processing.
Yeah.
that's just one aspect. Yeah.
Yep, there's touch, there's tactile, there's your textures of your food, the way your
Yeah.
clothes feel. There's all kinds of things whenever it comes to sensory. We live in a
Absolutely.
sensory world, and we may not realize it,
Mhm.
but those who do need that support and who does realize that it is sensory world,
Mm-hmm.
they could either.
It involves every sense. Right?
Yeah, it really does.
So
But how do they respond? Because you mentioned that we live in a very sensory world. And I mean, of course, you hear different noises, different sounds, so many different things. You mentioned about being overwhelmed. How do they react, like physically?
All depends on the child.
Okay.
Some may shut down. Some may have a meltdown. Some may be quiet. Some may be loud. If depending on how they express their feelings and their emotions, sometimes you don't know. You have to read between the lines, or almost like a guessing game. Is it this? Is it this? Do I need to turn down the lights? Do I need to, do you need a weighted blanket on you? Or do you need to be in just a quiet space? Is there too many people around?
Yeah.
It could be as simple as somebody being able to speak it and say the light's too bright, or it could be somebody that's going to cause self-injurious behaviors to themselves by hitting themselves or biting. So it's all different for each person.
And how patient do you have to be in order to deal with something like that?
Like extremely patient. Yeah.
So you have that whole thing.
Yeah. And like you can't show them that you're overwhelmed or you're like,
Oh.
like they can sense your feelings.
Okay.
And yeah.
You always have to have a positive mind frame and just a positivity about you and confidence, even though, you may be down and unsure of what to do, but you're their person and they need you, they feel you, and if you're upset, they'll be upset.
Mm.
a big part of that, I think, is remembering it's not personal. They're not doing it to punish you. They're not doing it to punish themselves. It's not about punishing the situation. It's simply a way of, sometimes it's the only way you know how to process your feelings, right?
And to communicate.
And to communicate with the world around you. So it's just not personal.
That's good. How common are intellectual disabilities and language delays in the autism population?
Very. That's one of the core characteristics. For language, imagine not being able to speak the way that you want, or even understand some of the language that is spoken to you, and that's why it's so important to have different aids within that. So that could be, your text and communications. It could be your iPad. It could be sign. It could be mouth reading. There's all kinds of things whenever it comes to that.
Yeah. I would definitely say it's really important to note that speaking a language and understanding a language are two separate things. So while one person may be nonverbal to like the age of 5 or 6, they might still be able to understand language. They just might have a hard time speaking it, right? Because again, with autism, that cognitive function of how to control muscles and everything, right? Moving your tongue to pronounce those words might be too difficult, or you might not want to go through the effort. So even though you understand clearly, sometimes sign language, body language is a lot easier to communicate.
What are the myths that you have heard about autism and autism spectrums?
We could probably go around the table with that one.
Sure, no,
Yeah.
no problem.
I mean, I think a lot of them is that, like, they're just angry kids. And, like, a lot of people just view the meltdowns as, oh, you just didn't get what you want, so you're just going to misbehave now. Or, oh, you are disappointed, and now you're going to throw a big tantrum. You're going to try to hit someone. You're going to try to throw something at someone. It is not always violent. And it is not about, like I said, it's not personal. It's not about trying to get back. It's not about jealousy. It's not about being upset you didn't get the cookie, you didn't get the toy you wanted, you couldn't go to the place you wanted to go. It's not anger. It's not any of those feelings of, I'm going to get back at something. It's not about hurting people. It's about the fact that I didn't understand why we're doing this, and I don't really react well to change. My brain cannot process this idea of change, of going from inside to outside in this way so fast. I need time to get used to it myself.
Yeah. There's many myths about it, but whenever it comes to just on your daily, if you see a child and he's jumping around or she's flapping her hands or, she's biting her hand or constantly moving the leg, like some people get nervous around that. And, if it's not harming anybody, if it's okay for them, that's stimming. That's what needs to happen. It's not scary. It shouldn't be scary and it shouldn't be judged upon.
Absolutely. Another big one, I think, is some people equate autism to stupidity. And in our society, a lot of times people, instead of saying, "Oh, you're dumb" or "You're stupid," they'll say, "Oh, you're autistic," or they might even use the R word, right?
Yeah.
And so that equation of autism means stupid isn't true. That is indeed a myth where there is many kinds of intelligence. And so while one person may lack emotional intelligence, they may have a different kind of intelligence. Maybe they're good with numbers, maybe they're good at reading books. There's so many kinds of intelligence, it applies even to regular people. So one person may lack somewhere, they may be better at somewhere. And I'm not trying to say like savant autism is a big thing where it's just like you have a big special gift. But what I'm saying is that how we equate intelligence really matters. And we may not just have a way of figuring that out or measuring that.
Yeah, and back to what he kind of said there with like people assuming, like saying horrible things to some people, is one that really bothers me is when you see someone who's really smart or somebody has like a breakdown, anything, how people just go, "Oh, they're this, oh, they're that."
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah. That's true.
So my biggest thing, the myth about autism would be I heard lots from people that I just baby my son and I like give him everything I want. I'm just soaking him all the time and that's why he acts the way he does. But like, that's obviously not why he acts that way. It's like, cause he actually has like the disability and I'm not babying him. I'm just making his needs, like I'm meeting his needs. Like I don't force him to eat things that he doesn't like. I don't make him do things he don't want to do. Like I'm not trying to baby him. I'm just trying to make him comfortable in life.
Do you find it frustrating that persons don't understand, even though you're saying, he has autism?
It is a lot, because a lot of people say, like, well, if you keep babying him, it will never go away. But no matter what you do, like, it's not going to go away. Like, it's for life.
Yeah. I find one of the big myths, kind of what you were talking on earlier, is like the taking stuff personal. Because I find a lot of people will. Especially like working in the school system, a lot of people, like someone will have a meltdown or something like that, and everyone's like, "It's my fault, it's me," and like I'm not doing this and that, right? But that could happen with anyone at any time. I find I kind of tie it into like a myth, but a lot of people not educated on that will get into that and be like, "Yeah, thinking stuff is more personal, but it's not."
Have you ever heard of persons saying that child inherited it from family or probably from the parents?
Not too much, but there is families that have, a mother that may have a late diagnosis of autism, and then her child has autism, and doesn't mean it's genetic or it happens to the best of us. It's just the same as any other anything that we can have in life. We're people. We're all people, and no matter what it is, that's what happens. But as long as it's you get the support for it, it's better.
I think persons would still ask like, where or what is the core reason that a child would be diagnosed with autism or autism spectrum?
Well, I was pregnant at a young age. Like I was pregnant at 16 and had my son at 17. And a lot of people ask me, is that the reason why he has autism? Because you were so young when you were pregnant. And I was like, no, like I feel like no matter how old you are, like when you get pregnant, like you can't stop it. Like it's just like, if your kid's going to have autism, like nothing you do can stop it.
There's a lot of reasons, I think, out there for because there's a lot of studies out there as to why it happens. I mean, part of it could be genetic, part of it could be, substance abuse, part of it could be radiation, part of it could be pollution. There's a lot of reasons why it can happen. It's just a little bit random.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit different because I don't think a lot of persons even know that pollution can actually affect a pregnant mother with her child.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. But what are the feedbacks from, just the community with the children? If you guys put on events and have meet and greet, what is the feedback like?
Oh, we have all good feedback. Like as far as when we come together and or even separate. If I have one-on-one, we offer that one-on-one support, and most of the time it's in a crisis situation. So we need to take that family member and we need to, meet them where they're at, and that's a huge thing as well because meeting a child or not being a professional, like as a doctor, it's a little bit difficult, but as long as you can meet them where they're at and find out how you can help them and how you can support them in the best way possible and learn what their needs are, then that child will probably thrive.
What makes them unique?
Oh,
Everything.
yeah. Just the same as the reason why you're unique. Like it's they're just like us, and they're just different people. And if they thrive at something, or if they have a skill or interest that they love, they can really thrive on that. Sometimes it can be multiple things. Some people are genius and in a positive way, and like they can really. There's lots of uniqueness in it. It's amazing. It's impressive.
I would definitely say the way they live their lives, their everyday lives, are so much different from ours. So, like, for me, I know, like, if I went to my friend's house and they live with autism their whole life, right? Their house could be organized very differently. Their lights could be different. Their whole setup in their house could be different. Maybe their kitchen is closer to their bedroom because the amount of distance it takes to walk takes away some of their energy. And so they just taken that step out completely. They just put like their kitchen in their room. So just the way their living situation could be, the way they go about their day-to-day life, the way they do their chores, it can entirely create a different experience that you wouldn't see in someone who's neurotypical, right? So,
is there any celebrity that you can think of that has autism or autism spectrum?
All I can think about is that show, like The Good Doctor.
Yeah, and then there's of course
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
So that's another one.
are we talking about, like, are they, like, neurodivergent in the show they play, or are they actually, like, autistic in real life?
Well, even still, there's many of them.
Right? Because even though there's actually a big thing in media is that sometimes people play a person who's neurodivergent in the show, even though they're not neurodivergent in real life.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
So,
Okay, so you'd say that there's a possibility of a lot of them being there, but persons don't know, or they probably don't, let the public know about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Or there could be, I just can't think of the names right now, but like there's some that are advocates of it.
Oh, nice.
The lady on Big Bang Theory, she's I believe her son is. I just read that study. I'm sorry. I can't think of it right now. But yeah, there's lots. There's all kinds.
What research is currently being conducted on the causes and biology of autism?
There's always new research happening. A lot has changed in the last few years.
What are some of the key challenges autistic individuals and their families often face?
Does anybody else want to answer that first?
Well, like lack of support and like financial situations, like lack of funds for programs and stuff. And definitely like the judgment of everybody else. Like as soon as you hear autism, like there's some people that are like terrified, they don't want to go near you, like they don't want to see your child.
Yeah, it's complex. That's big. That's very complex. And there's the funding. we need more funding for our families so they can have access to a lot of, the supports that are out there. Everything comes with a price, unfortunately. And for those who aren't able to, get that amount of money for maybe if they had to pay for, let's just say their anything really, any type of support, so maybe like family support, they might not be able to do it.
Is there anything that could be put in place in order for persons to see that there's a need for financial support?
Advocate. We need, especially in New Brunswick here, the government should step up. They're definitely gracious enough to support some programs, but we need to be loud. We need to be loud, and we need to support our families and our community. And if it's the funding and the support that needs, then we will do that.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is it starts in your own friend group. So when you have that one friend that is using, autism as a way of being like, you're stupid, you see people start using those myths, educate them. Say, like, that's not okay to say. Don't say that about someone. It's just, find a different word. You don't need to use that one, right? It's educating, it's reverting those social stigmas that have become a part of our society. Right. Whether it's from media, we saw a funny cartoon that depicted as an autistic person as really, a little bit, dumb and slow, or they just, they picked some very mean ways of depicting that person, right? It's about changing the way our society views those people, and it starts in our friend groups, and it starts with the content we view and the people we hang around. So
that's true. How does the institution involve autistic individuals and their families in program planning and service delivery?
For here?
Yes.
Yeah. So we have all kinds of programs that we have going on. Within many sectors, we have all ages. We work with all ages. We do one-on-one support. We have the Autism Swim program. We have the Book Nook, which is a job essential skills program as well. We have Connections on the Spectrum. We have the play group that we have, the support group that we have, the parent support group. There's lots. And not only that, we do have a needs assessment out there, so our community is able to reach out to us and tell us what they need, and we're here to support them, whatever that may be.
Okay, that's good. What kinds of employment and independent living supports does the institution offer?
We do have the Book Nook program upstairs. It's a social enterprise. We hire neurodivergent individuals who, and we train, and they have jobs upstairs. It's a Book Nook. It's detailed. They do great. We also have the Skills for Success program that we partner with Inclusion MB and Working MB. We actually just had the graduation celebration today. And within that, we do job coaching as well. So, they can come here and we can job shadow, and we can just teach them those fundamentals.
Nice. What advices would you give others out there about autism and autism children that are on the spectrum?
Be open-minded. Don't be closed-minded. Be positive. If you think positive, it'll thinking negative is just gonna hurt you in the long run. And if you see a child that you may believe is not acting right, or if you see someone having a meltdown, just move on with your business and let the families and those who love that person care for that person. Judgment is not welcome.
That's a good one. What is one of the things that persons can look out for or from the organization? Anything that the organization has in plan that they want to launch pretty soon?
Oh yeah, we have all kinds of things. I've been here just a year, and within that year, I've there's all kinds of things that I want to happen. I want a big recreational room. I want the huge sensory room. I want more space for job skills learning. There's so much that we could offer, and it's just really the beginning. I'm looking forward to what autism resources, Miramichi can have happen, especially with the support that we do have.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Thank you all for being a part of the podcast. Think Different. It was a pleasure having you all on board and sharing your insights and letting us know a bit more than the normal about autism children and autism's on the spectrum.
Thank you.
Thank you.